Check in on Michigan State to 2-0 right now, Ross. One kind of ugly win to start the year, a much more impressive conference win this past weekend. Where are you with the green and white?
Yeah, as out of sync as Aiden Giles and Michigan State was in the opener against FAU, is how in sync they seem to be against Maryland. I mean, there were some hiccups, but you see what they did late in the game. That has to be a good feeling for Jonathan Smith taking over a first-year program, and to see how they hung in. Right, because they were down much of the game. They hung in and then late got it done. Childs with over 360 yards of offense, 3 TDs, of course, including that 77-yarder right to Nick Marsh, who just exploded onto the scene as a true freshman. I think he was Big Ten's true freshman of the week. Incredible performance. I think he had the most receiving yards, or second most receiving yards for a freshman in school history. Big body, physical. Can catch the ball if you just put it anywhere near him. So that has to be huge to see them going on the road. And I don't know which Michigan State is really Michigan State, the one we saw at home struggle against FAU, or the one we saw there in College Park. But Jonathan Smith, I'm sure will take that College Park version every day.
I'm looking forward to watching them try to answer that question. I called the game over the weekend against Maryland. I've got them again actually this week on the Big Ten Network. And the word that kept occurring to me throughout that game in College Park was response. Because the way they looked in that first effort against FAU, there were a lot of questions about Aiden Childs and the excitement that was there for a young quarterback. Questions about whether or not they have a top-flight receiver or two. Montorie Foster didn't play well in the opening game. Nick Marsh only had 1 catch in that first game. Then they lose Alante Brown. So what happens at the receiver position? What can that defense do? Can they respond again against one of the better offenses in the Big Ten? And all those questions were, you know what? Yes, they responded. Aiden Childs threw the ball with confidence. Still imperfect. Those were the perfect imperfections of a young and talented quarterback. So he was still out there slinging it. They came out throwing the football. I like the adjustment that Jonathan Smith and Brian Lindgren made to the game plan. It wasn't all about the deep ball. They trusted the short and intermediate passing game to open things up. It got a little bit of run game going, and then the deep shots started to connect, and especially in a critical moment down the stretch of the game with Nick Marsh out in the open field, he made it happen. So for that whole team to respond in the way that they did under a new regime with a lot of new players and new personalities in that locker room, thoroughly impressed with what they did.
Right. What felt like to many a bit of a rebuilding season is off to a start that at least makes them feel good, especially with young players like Marsh stepping up and making big plays. Got to work on their penalties. 12 penalties in one game, 10 penalties in the next. But for now, they're off to a 2-0 start.